the very first thing I want to talk about is the contributions, or are the contributions that you make to the Teachers Retirement System's TDA. And there's really two types of contributions you can make. There's the standard contribution that you can make that is up to $24,500 for this year, 2026. Now, if you are younger than 50, that is your maximum benefit. That is the maximum amount that you can contribute. If you are older than 50, there are these things called catch-up contributions that as you get older, you can contribute up to 8,000 more or up to 11,000 and change more, or even, and depending on how old you are. And those are additional contributions that you can make to the TDA. And those are generally for people in the years leading up to retirement so that they can save some information, some more money into their TDA in the out years of their career. Okay, the IRS sets these numbers. They're generally for our TDA as well as all 403Bs as well as all 401Ks, and they usually announce the contribution changes every year in the fall around October, November, where they say that the following year the contribution is going to be the same or it might be a little bit more. Okay, so if you're younger than 50, 24.5 is your maximum. Doesn't mean that you have to or are obliged to contribute that much if you can't afford to. One of the things that I always like to talk to people about is that you don't want to put yourself in financial distress today because you're saving for a retirement that may be 10 or 20 or 30 years down the road. So if you can afford to save into the TDA, it's a fabulous idea. Towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you some interesting numbers about that. But it's really about saving what you can save, and how much your teacher in the or para or secretary or whomever in the school building contributes and how much you contribute can and should be completely different based on your own financial needs. It should not be that, oh, my co-teacher, contributes the maximum, so I must contribute the maximum. If you can contribute the maximum, great. If it's going to put you in a hardship, please don't. Now, there's something new where that started in January, and that is that the teacher retirement system was able to create, well, wasn't able, they were forced by the federal government to create a Roth. There was legislation called the Secure 2.0 legislation that was passed in Congress and signed into law that created the ability for the teacher's retirement system to have to offer a Roth account for the TDA. So up until then, it was not done. Now, you have the ability to contribute to the Roth and or the regular traditional TDA. It is up to you to decide which you want. The Roth, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I'll just briefly go into it now. The Roth simply is you're paying taxes on the contributions before they go in, so you don't have to pay taxes when you take the money out down the road. And the traditional TDAs, you do not pay taxes on contributions, but you pay taxes on distributions and withdrawals later on. Now, built into the Secure 2.0 legislation that created the Roth for TDA, there's some fine print, and the fine print says that if you are one of the people that want to do these catch-up contributions because you're 50 or older and want to contribute more to the TDA, if you have made more than $150,000 from the DOE in prior year FICA wages, right, Social Security wages, and it shows up in box 3 of the W-2 that you get from the DOE, if that exceeds $150,000 for last year, this year, you can only put the $24,500 in the traditional TDA, and these catch-up contributions must go into the Roth. You have no choice. That's the way the law is written. That's the way the retirement system has to follow it. Now, that may not be you. That may not be most people, but some people it will affect them. And warning, if you do not create a Roth account, so let's say you're one of these people that made $150,000 or more last year, right? From the DOE, you're 50 or older, and you want to contribute above the 24.5. If you do not create a Roth account, you'll be capped at the 24.5. You will not be allowed to put in catch-up contributions. Again, this is not TRS's decision. This is the federal legislation that they have to follow. Now, in addition to the Teachers Retirement System's 403(b) account, there's also other savings accounts offered to New York City employees that you might want to consider giving a look at to see if they might meet your needs. I'm a big proponent of the Teachers Retirement System's TDA, both the traditional and the Roth. But the New York City has a defined contribution plan for employees of the city, and you can invest in either their 401(k) or their 457 plan. Both offer traditional and Roth options. And for the 401(k), your maximum contribution is the combination of whatever you might contribute in the TDA with TRS and whatever you might contribute in the 401(k). That total must be either the 24.5 or the catch-up amount in total. Okay? So you can't save the maximum in your TDA and the maximum in the 401(k) in the New York City DCP. However, the 457 plan that the city offers is separate and apart from that. So if you are independently wealthy and you're not teaching for the money, you're a multi-millionaire who's doing it for the love of teaching New York City's public school children, you can certainly max out the TDA with TRS, max out the 457 plan with the New York City DCP, and you can have both of those running and going. If you go to the New York City Deferred Compensation Plan website, just go to nycdcp.org, I think is the link. You can find out information about those plans if you're interested in getting involved.